Thank you for purchasing ReaList. ReaList is a powerful magic utility that will allow you to perform impossible predictions either on your phone or a borrowed spectator's phone. So, let's get started and let's learn ReaList. So I'm going to write down the name. You said you're interested in the cities category, right? Cities, here we go. Okay, I'm going to write down the name of the city.
Okay.
All right. And I'll circle it here for you. You get to hang on to that. Remember, This is my prediction. I can't change my mind. I'm committed
Do
to
I
it.
look or no?
No, don't look yet. Okay, this is your phone, right? Go ahead,
Yes.
go ahead and unlock it.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So, as we come down the list, we're going to come down to cities, right?
Okay, because we're in movies now.
They were in movies, that's
We have
right,
to
that's
go
right.
back.
Yeah, you can come around this way, you can see what it is.
We have to
exactly where
go
we're
to,
going.
okay,
Cities, there we go. There's cities right here, showing all the currently trending cities. And now, once again, you're not going to say it too loud. Name any number between 1 and 100. Just whisper it in my ear. Go ahead. Okay, so watch this. As we come down to your number, okay, actually you do it. Come down until you get to your number.
Oh my God.
My goal was to
Okay. What do you see under your number? Rome.
I don't care.
Huh. There's 100 different cities that are there, right? If you had said number 13, you would have come to Los Angeles. If you had said 14, you would have come to Tehran, Iran. Or 15 would have been Boston, right? But you didn't say any of these other numbers. You went for your number, which was 12, which is Rome. Now remember, I wrote a prediction down even before you said anything. Open up the prediction.
Thank you. We'll see you
Oh my God, this is crazy.
Let me see the prediction.
Show it.
This is- what are you doing? You putting black magic on us or something?
First, we're going to learn one of the two secret input methods in ReaList. This is called the scroll input method. Now, when you launch ReaList, for this particular example, the only thing that we need from the app is simply our current PIN, which says over here the number 28. Please notice that it says that this PIN will expire in 23 hours and 46 minutes. That means every time you get a PIN in ReaList, it lasts for 24 hours. So simply check for your current PIN once every 24 hours. Also notice that it says here that our website for ReaList is google-stats.com. Okay, we're going to use that website in just a moment. And then for this particular example, I'm going to be performing with the movies category. And the default force item for movies is King Kong. And the number of searches is 468K, which once again, you're going to see on the website in just a moment. First, I'm just going to click on the word googlestats.com. And what that does is that it copies the website URL to the clipboard. So now let's just switch over to your browser. In this case, I am using Safari on an iPhone, and on the address bar over here, just simply tap and choose paste and go. And so now it's going to paste the URL right up to the website. This is now the Google Stats website. So now let's learn the new scroll input method. First, we're going to start out by scrolling down the page of googlestats.com, and we'll select the movies topic where we already have seen that King Kong is our force item and the number 468 is the force search. So to learn the secret input method, let's look at the exclamation point, which is in the speech bubble in the upper right-hand corner, and also notice the colon, which is next to terms indexed. In a moment, we're going to unlock our input method, and you'll do that by either tapping the lower left or the lower right-hand corner of the screen. You can also do a diagonal swipe from either the lower right or the lower left to unlock the input method as well. So now let's say we want to force King Kong on item number 59. Here's the way we're going to do it. First, I do a diagonal swipe from the lower right-hand corner, and I can see that the exclamation point has disappeared from the upper right, and the colon next to the word indexed has disappeared as well. Now my attention is on the numbers that are here in the lower right-hand corner, and specifically, I'm looking at the 100 location. Now you start scrolling down the page. And as you move your finger, I want you to notice how the number that's currently in the 100 location is moving up and down. It's like as if you can dial in that number based on how far up or down you move your finger as you scroll. All the way at the bottom, the number is at 0. As we continue to go up, it goes all the way up to 9. But as you continue to go up, it goes to 0, 1, 2, 3, and all the way at the top of the page, it will even reach 4. And you'll see why that's important in just a moment. So let's say we want to input the number 59, which means we scroll until we reach 5 and we let up on our finger. Now, to do the 9, remember that you can start from anywhere on the screen. It doesn't matter, but I recommend you start closer to the bottom of the screen just so that you have all the real estate that you need to move your finger up and down. So now let's move our finger to the 9 position. But this time, as I move my finger up, I could see that now I'm affecting the 1 location of the number, which means I'm now inputting the number 9 for the number 59. So now, as I continue to go up, I reach the 9, I let up on my finger, and I'm done. I just input the number 59. I can see that my input is now locked, and that's why the exclamation point has returned in the upper right. And if you're paying attention to the lower right-hand corner, the colon has also returned in the lower right-hand corner. So let's do this just one more time. This time, let's do it with the number 68. So this time around, do it a little faster. I tap in the lower right-hand corner to unlock the input method. We're going to go up to 6. Notice how I overshot the 6 and I got to 7. Don't worry about it. Just pull your finger down a little bit until you reach the 6. And now we'll do that again to go to 8. So as we go up, we reach 8. We let up on a finger and we continue to scroll down very rapidly. And guess what happens when we get to item number 68? You guessed it. There it is, King Kong, and it has been searched for 468K. Let's do that again. This time around, we're going to do it for a number where each digit is very small. So now we tap in the lower right-hand corner to unlock our input method, and you'll notice that as we move up a little bit, right about there, it becomes 1. Wait, that doesn't look very realistic. It doesn't really look like you're scrolling down the page. So if you were going to be inputting a number like 10 or 11, you could do this, but that's going to look really suspicious. Why would anyone ever scroll like that? So that's why going past the 9 all the way at the top of the screen is a great way for you to input numbers with small digits. So let's input the number 11 again with going over the top of 9. So we tap the lower right-hand corner. We scroll rapidly past the 0 as we reach 1. We do that again rapidly as we reach 1. We let up. We could see the 11, 1 in the hundreds position, the other one in the ones position. We know that 11 is correct. So as we scroll to position 11, there is King Kong. Let me do this for you just one more time, but this time let's do it with a single-digit number. For inputting single digits, you're going to put a 0 before the main number. So let's say we wanted to input the number 8. First, we unlock. We could see the colon has disappeared from the lower right-hand corner. First, we're going to scroll up to the digit 0. There's a 0. I can see it in the hundreds place. I scroll up to the 8. There's the 8. And I continue to throw the page down. And of course, 8 is now King Kong. And then finally, what happens if you want to input 100, which is a 3-digit number? Well, we have a nice shortcut for that one, and that is 00. So we first tap the lower right-hand corner. We're going to scroll up until we reach 0. We scroll up again until we reach 0 again. And now we can just continue to throw the page really quickly all the way to the bottom of the page, because at the bottom, at 100, there is King Kong. This is a bi-directional input method. And what that means is if you are actually down at the bottom of the screen, this works as well. So let's do the same thing. Let's go ahead and unlock the input method by tapping the lower right-hand corner. But this time we're going to go in reverse. So let's say we want to input the number 39. We're going to start from the top of the page, and as I scroll down, I can see I immediately reach 3. I scroll down rapidly until I reach 9, and I continue throwing the page down until I can come all the way down to 39, and there it is again, King Kong. So this works great no matter what direction you are scrolling, because the mouse's distance is simply being calculated, and that is the new scroll input method. Now, I'm sure that while you've been practicing, you've made a few mistakes. So let me show you what you do if you do make any mistakes inputting your numbers. It's really easy. Let's say the spectator said the number 54, and so now I'm going to intentionally make a mistake. I unlock my input method. I scroll up. Oops, I already know that I made a mistake. There is no need to panic because remember, your spectators do not know what the method is. Just stay calm, unlock your input method again, and this time scroll up to reach the 5, scroll up again until you reach the 4, and once you do, you're welcome to continue to scroll down until you can reach item number 54. Also, what's important is as you continue to scroll, always hand the phone back to the spectator and ask them to scroll down the page until they get to their number. So when they get to their number, 54, there is King Kong. So let's do that just one more time. Let's make a mistake and then immediately fix that mistake. So now we start out by unlocking the input method. Let's say the spectator said the number 28. So now here we go. We make a couple of gestures and like, oh no, that's incorrect. Again, no need to panic. Let's unlock one more time. And so now for 2, we're going to do a very large swiping gesture until we get to 2 all the way at the top of the page. And then for the 8, we continue until we get to 8. I can see the 28 and I continue to scroll as I hand the phone back to the spectator, asking them to scroll down to their number. And when they do scroll down, there is, again, King Kong on 28. And that's what you do if you make a mistake while you're performing. Just keep calm and keep going. So here is what it looks like in practice. Now remember, we're going to be forcing King Kong on our spectator and ask your spectator for any number between 1 and 100.
10.
10. That one's easy. As we come up, we go past 1. There's the 1. Here is now the 0. There's the 10. And I continue to scroll down. And there it is. 10 is King Kong. Now notice that before I ask for the number between 1 and 100, I do the diagonal swipe, which means I'm ready to go. I don't have to worry about unlocking the input. So give me another number between 1 and 100.
90.
90. Okay, so there it goes. There's the 9. There is the 0. And as we continue to scroll all the way down very rapidly, there is King Kong on item number 90. And we'll do one last one. And remember, you can start from anywhere on the screen as you scroll. Here is our unlock. I could see that the exclamation point has disappeared from the speech bubble, and I can see the colon has disappeared. So another number between 1 and 100?
26.
26. There we go. There is the 2. Here is the 6. And as we continue to scroll down on item number 26, there is King Kong. And that is what it looks like to your spectators as you scroll down the page. We'll now learn how to quickly perform ReaList on your phone, meaning the magician's phone. So right after you launch ReaList, just tap the google-stats.com words at the top there, which copies the URL to your clipboard. Now, from now on, you don't actually need the ReaList app anymore, so we can just, quit out of it. But then go into any browser, and in this case, this is Safari running on an iPhone. If you hold your finger down on the address bar, just select the Paste and Go option, which now takes us to the ReaList Google Stats website. As we scroll down the page, since we're going to be performing with the movies category, select movies. And now you say to your spectator, this is the famous Google Stats website, which showcases all the trending searches. And since we just went into the movies category, it shows you the top 100 movies that have been searched throughout time. So now we're going to randomly select a movie. But before we proceed, here's this little piece of paper which has my prediction written on it. Now remember, from the previous video, we had already written the word King Kong and 468K on a little small piece of paper that we had folded that you now hand to your spectator. That is your prediction. So the other thing I like to do at this point is before I ask my spectator for a number, I unlock the input method by doing a little diagonal swipe from either the lower right or the lower left-hand corners. Remember, you can either tap those corners or you can do that diagonal swipe. So now, ask your spectator for any number between 1 and 100, and let's say the spectator says 29. So Here it is. There's the 2, there's the 9, and now immediately I check to see if my input is correct by looking at the lower right-hand corner where I can see the 2 in the thousands location and the 9 that's in the tens location, which means I now know that I have correctly input the number 29, and I immediately hand my phone over to the spectator as I say, please continue to scroll down the page until you get to item number 29. And they keep scrolling and strolling until they get to 29, and there it is. There's King Kong with the 468K. Now, at this point, don't make a big deal out of it. Just say, you know what? You could have chosen from any one of these 100 movies. 28 would have been All About Eve. Or if you had chosen 30, it would have been Apocalypse Now. There are 100 movies, but you chose King Kong. Do you remember that little piece of paper I gave you as my prediction? Open it. So when they open it, they can see that you have correctly predicted not only King Kong, but even a bigger surprise is you had even correctly predicted the 468K. And that is how you perform ReaList on your phone. We're now going to learn how to perform ReaList on a borrowed spectator's phone. So when you launch ReaList, simply remember that the website is google-stats.com, and you're also going to remember that your current PIN is currently the number 28. Now, the fact that it says 028 is important, and we're going to see that in just a moment. So now you no longer need ReaList, so I'm going to go ahead and just quit out of ReaList and simply borrow a spectator's phone. On the spectator's phone, on the address bar, you can type in google-stats.com/the number 28, which is your current PIN. So now, when you actually navigate to that page, you are now in your ReaList account. So we're going to perform with the same topic that we did last time, which was the movies category, where we already know that King Kong and the number 468K is the fourth item. So now, on your spectator's phone, simply select the movies topic. And this is where you're going to ask your spectator for any number between 1 and 100, but before you do, you're going to give them your prediction. So now you do the diagonal swipe as we've seen before, and you are going to do whatever number they say. So let's say they say the number 30. So now there's the 3, here is the 0, and as you can see, we once again have the feedback there in the thousands place and the tens place. And as we scroll down to item number 30, there it is, King Kong and the 468K. So now you noticed how straightforward this was, that all you had to do was on your spectator's phone, just type in the google-stats.com URL followed with a / on your current PIN. Now, there is another way of doing this where you don't have to even enter your current PIN on the spectator's phone. Here's the way you do it. Very openly, in front of everyone, you're going to type in, once again, that google-stats.com. Now, we are not in our account. So we need to secretly input our current PIN into the website. So please keep in mind that currently, if we were to go back to ReaList on our phone, we would see that our current PIN is the number 095. The first 0 is really important because on the first page of ReaList, you must always input 3 digits. So let's go back to the website, and exactly like the previous method, we start by doing a tap or a diagonal swipe from the lower right or the lower left-hand corner. So I'm going to do a little diagonal swipe there. First, we have to input the number 0. As I start moving my finger up and down the page, notice that now what's changing is the number that's in the 100,000 location. So we're going to scroll up rapidly until we get to the digit 0. There's the 0. Now let's do the digit 9. There is the 9. And then finally 5. Very quickly, there is the 5. And now I can check that I am actually in my account by looking at the 100,000th location where I can see 095. And I now know that I'm paired with my account, so therefore I can proceed with my performance. One last note about performing on a spectator's phone is you don't necessarily have to type google-stats.com on their address bar. You could just simply do a search in Google for the word Google Stats, one word. And watch me do that now. Here it is, Google Stats, one word, no spaces, and watch what happens. You'll notice that when Google does a search for that term, the first item that's on the Google search simply says google-stats.com. And so now when your spectator selects that link, it takes you directly to our beloved google-stats.com. So that's a very organic way of getting into your performances without having to necessarily type a URL into your spectator's phone. And that's how you perform on a spectator's phone when you actually can interact or touch your spectator's phone. Next, we're going to learn how you can perform without touching their phone.
So, Posai, I've heard that you've been talking to George about this psychology thing that I've been studying, and it's about subconscious memory. And what it's about is that if I was with you right now, I would essentially show you a list of like 100 items, and psychologists have found that people can actually perfectly memorize every item that's on the list. Now, since I'm not with you right now and I'm driving, if you could please just open up like any browser on your phone. We're going to go to that famous, Google Stats website.
Okay, 1 second. Let me open that up. Google Stats.
Google Stats, yeah. It's like google-stats.com. And let me know when that page opens.
Okay, I got it.
You got it? Okay, perfect. So,
Yeah.
Posai, as you are looking at that page, this is like the famous trending site from Google that shows you all the trending searches. I want you to scroll to the bottom of that page under recently trending topics. The first category there usually says cities. So,
Oh, yes.
yeah, go ahead and select cities for me, please.
Select cities. Okay.
Okay, you got it? All right, perfect. So now, Posai, I want you to scroll down that page and scroll as you're looking at the screen and get all the way to the bottom of the page. And let me know where you're at the bottom.
Okay. Still scrolling. It's a lot.
Yeah, there's 100 items on that list. I know, it's quite a bit.
I think, okay, I got it.
You got it? Okay, perfect. So now here's what I want you to do is close your eyes. Imagine that entire list that just scrolled by right now. And if I was to name some random city, like, I don't know, like let's say Miami, okay? From 1 to 100, with your eyes closed, where do you actually see Miami on that list?
42.
42. Now, of course, you could have said any number, right? And there's no way I could have known what number you're going to say. So, Posai, you're going to really, really be surprised if this works. Please scroll up and let's see if Miami is actually at your number.
Give me a second. It's a lot of scrolling. Yeah. Yeah, 42 is Miami.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Now we're going to learn how to perform ReaList without ever touching your spectator's phone. Now this is really, really powerful because you can do these performances either over a phone conversation, a video chat, or even in person, just as long as you never touch their phone. So let's get started. All you got to do is just follow the instructions that are right here on the screen that say, ask your spectator to visit google-stats.com, then tap the thumper button. So now that's what we're going to do. We're actually going to tap the thumper button, and this is now the transmission screen for ReaList. And it's telling you right now that cities is the topic that ReaList has assigned to us. In a moment, we're going to learn how to change these topics. And currently, we are unpaired, which means there are no spectators in the world right now that have visited the cities topic in the Google Stats page. So now, as the instructions say, we're going to ask our spectator to go to Google Stats. So here it is, googlestats.com. And so now you ask your spectator to scroll down the page, and they'll see that under recently trending topics, there are a variety of topics. And next to the last topic usually says cities, and for them to select it. Now, the moment that your spectator selects cities, they are now paired with your phone. And you will know that because not only in the lower right-hand corner on the spectator's phone, you could see that it says 28 million, which corresponds with our ReaList transmitter that shows that our current pin is 28 million, but also on the transmitter, we felt a little vibration that told us that we are now paired with one session. Notice how it says sessions. Because of the plural nature of this, you can actually perform ReaList for as many spectators at the same time as you like. Now, this is amazing for virtual performances for tens, hundreds, whatever number of spectators you want to perform for, or even for stage magicians that would like to perform forces on the entire audience at the same time. So now we're going to do a performance using this remote technology that's called superhuman memory. All you're going to do is tell your spectator that they're going to scroll down the list as they look at the list. And you believe that a small group of people have this ability to memorize every item that's on the list, even though it's scrolling by their eye that quickly. Now, let them know once they reach the bottom of the page, all they have to do is close their eyes, imagine the list that just scrolled by, and if you were to name some random city, like, I don't know, let's try Rome. Right? We know obviously Rome is our fourth city, so you make it seem like Rome is just something that you plucked out of the air, and you say, with your eyes closed, from 1 to 100, where do you think Rome is on the list? So now, all you're doing on your end is you're getting ready to type in the number that they say. So now the spectator says, I think Rome is on item number 47. So now all you're going to do is just type in 47. You'll see the number 47 appear here at the bottom of the page, and you click send. Guess what happens? It says here forced 47. And because we have the vibration feedback turned on, you'll even feel a vibration that tells you that your transmission has been successful. So now if we were to go back to the Google Stats page. Now remember, this is representing the spectator's phone, which is some other phone. But as we go up to item number 47, you're going to be surprised because there it is. There is Rome on item number 47. So let's try this just one more time. This time around, as we go back to the transmitter, let's try it now with a different number. Let's try it with item number 68. So here, 68, we hit send. And now once again, it says that it's forced item number 68. So now as we go back to the screen, it's no longer on 47 because now if we go back down to 68, there it is, Rome on 68. Now, one final thing I want to share with you regarding this transmission screen is that you probably noticed that in the lower right-hand corner, there is a timer that's ticking down. And what that timer is doing is that it's showing you how long this transmission screen is active. So by default, each transmitter is active for 10 minutes. So as long as you know that you got 10 minutes to be able to transmit something to your spectators, you're all set to go. But even if you were to pass that 10-minute marker, you don't have to worry because you can just hit the back button. Then you can activate your thumper again. And now a brand new 10-minute timer will begin from the beginning. And then last but not least, as we go back to the lists, every time you force something in ReaList, the force number is persistent across all the different categories. So currently, we have forced Rome on item number 68. So 68 is now the number that's going to go across all the different categories with the different various force items. We already know that for movies, King Kong is our force item for movies. Now, we've already done 68 on the previous screen, which means that now, because of the persistent nature of ReaList, if we were to scroll down to item number 68 here under movies, guess what? There it is. King Kong is on item number 68 here on this list as well. So this applies not only for your remote performances, but it also applies when you do scroll input method as well. your force item becomes persistent, or your force number, I should say, becomes persistent across all the different categories. And this is how you perform remotely for your spectators. In the last video, we learned how doing virtual performances or performing over the phone is really easy when you can use the numeric keypad to input the number that your spectator had selected. But if you're performing in person, then obviously you can't take your phone out of your pocket and actually type the number that the spectator wants. So we've designed an invisible method of inputting a number from 1 to 100, which is called the clock swipe method. And you're going to be doing this method with your phone simply in your pocket. So here's the way that the clock swipe method works. As we go back to the main screen of ReaList, touch the hamburger button, which are the 3 horizontal lines at the upper left-hand corner, go to Settings, and where it says here Thumper Type, instead of the number pad, we're going to select clock swipe and click OK. So now as we go back, we're going to once again activate the thumper screen, where now instead of a numeric keypad, we are seeing the clock swipe input method. Here's how the clock swipe input method works. Imagine a clock in your mind's eye, which is exactly what this graphic shows you here. To the right is 3 o'clock, below you is 6, 9 o'clock to your left, and 12 o'clock has now been replaced with 0. So now, currently, we are unpaired. So if we were to go back to our Google Stats page, we're going to go back and select actually the topic that it wants us to currently use, which is going to be the music topic. And here we are now paired with the transmitter. So now we're going to go back to the transmitter and let's input something really, really simple for the clock swipe method, which is the number 30. Here's the way it works. We do 2 swipes to the right, 2 swipes up, and now we just input the number 30. In fact, it says right here, forced 30. And so now if we were to go back to our page, staying alive is our force item. And we come down to item number 30. There it is, staying alive. So you're probably wondering, how does this exactly work? Well, it's really easy. As we go back to the swipe screen, there are 4 swipes that you need to be able to communicate a 2-digit number. So each digit requires 2 swipes. And that's why, as you look at this graphic, you'll notice that each digit here is represented with 2 swipes. These swipes can only be in one of 4 directions: up, down, right, or left. That's it. There are no diagonal swipes, there's no short swipes or long swipes. As long as you can swipe anywhere on the screen in one of these 4 directions, you are communicating with ReaList. So now, when we look at the number 30, you'll notice that first for the number 3, that corresponds to actually a 3 o'clock on a clock face, all we had to do was do 2 swipes to the right. But then for the number 0, which is up above, all we had to do there is 2 swipes up to communicate the number 30. Let's try that again with another number like 36. So now we can see from the graphic that 3 is 2 swipes to the right, 6 is 2 swipes down, and let's do that. So 2 swipes to the right, 2 swipes down, that's 36. It says here that it's forced 36. And if we go back to our page, sure enough, item number 36 now says staying alive. So that was successful. Going back to the page, we already can see how easy it is for numbers like 0, 3, 6, and 9 to be transmitted. But what about the intermediate numbers? Numbers like 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8. Well, here's the way that they work. Let's say you wanted to send the number 12. 12 means that to get to 1 o'clock on a clock, what you would first have to do is you would have to go up once to get to 12 or 0, and then you would have to go to the right to be able to get to 1 o'clock. And that's why you'll notice the little cheat sheet here tells you it's up and to the right to be able to get to 1. And then for 2, same idea. To be able to get to 2 o'clock, first you would have to go to the right once to get to 3 o'clock, and then you would have to go up once to get to 2. And that's why it shows you right and up is a 2. So let's go ahead and transmit the number 12, which is up, right, right, up. And you can see over here that it says that it has forced 12. And you already know that if we go back to the page and we scroll down, item number 12 on our list is staying alive. All right, let's do that just one more time. But please keep in mind that you can swipe from anywhere on the screen. You don't have to necessarily be at the middle of the circle. The entire screen is the real estate that's available for you to be able to swipe. Because remember, you're going to be doing this with your phone in your pocket. Now, make sure that the face of your phone is facing away from your body in your pocket. And also, please make sure that the top of your phone is facing down. Okay, that makes it a lot easier and it's much more intuitive than any other configuration. And as long as you use your index finger to do these little swipes, you're all set. So let's do a couple of more forces just to get familiar with this idea. We're going to do the number 49. So for 49, we can see that right here. We're going to do right, down, and 9 is to the left, and that's 49. There's 49 right there. We switch back over to the page, scroll down to item number 49, and yes, success. It's come to 49. Let's do a number that's between 0 and 9. For those numbers, you're going to simply put a 0 in front of the number. So if the number is the number 8, all you would have to do is first a 0, which is 2 swipes up, and then an 8 is to the left and down. So there is 8. And once again, we switch back and scroll to item number 8, and there is staying alive. And then finally, the number 100, which is 3 digits. We got a little cheat for you on that one. That one is simply 00. So now here we are, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 zeros back to back. It says here that you forced 100. And if we were to switch back over to the list and scroll all the way to the bottom of the list, you'll see that staying alive now is on item number 100. And that is how you will use the swipe input method, which we call the clock input method. Just make sure you practice this in your pocket a couple of times, and just make sure you're successful with forcing a bunch of random numbers before you perform with the phone in your pocket remotely for your spectators. Now let's learn the basic functions of the ReaList app. As you've already seen, starting from the upper left-hand corner, we have the hamburger button menu that opens up for a couple of other options. Home is, of course, the button that takes you to the main home page. Instructions is the button that you selected to actually read the instructions that you're watching now. Other apps highlights a few of the other apps that Rostami Magic has for sale. And then we have settings. As we go into settings, there's a variety of different settings here that are going to allow you to customize ReaList to the way that you want to use it. Starting from the top, thumper with black screen. When you turn that on, the item here says, make a thumper screen appear like switched off screen. What that means is, with the black screen turned on, if you have your phone simply in your hand, then the screen will appear black when you are using the clock swipe input method. So you don't have to necessarily have your phone in your pocket. You can just simply have your phone sitting on a table or in your hand, because to your spectators, it will look like your phone is off. So that's a handy feature. By default, that's off, so I'm going to turn that back off. Vibrate thumper, really important, and by default it's on. And that makes sure that every time a transmission is successful, your phone vibrates in your pocket to tell you that the transmission has been received. And that's why I highly recommend you keep that on. Start app in Thumper. This is a great way for advanced users of ReaList to simply start their ReaList with the app already opening up to the Thumper or the transmission screen. So that way, it's going to save you one additional click just by opening up already in the transmission screen. That allows you to perform immediately. Once again, by default, that is off. The thumper type we just looked at the previous video that allows you to select the thumper to be either the number pad or the clock swipe. And by default, it is the number pad. As we continue to scroll down, thumper reset time. Thumper swipes will reset if no input is received within the given time in seconds. Which means, let's say you get nervous or you make a mistake and you do maybe about like 2 or 3 swipes and you realize that you've made an error in your swiping in your pocket. Just wait for greater than 3 seconds and it will reset. So now you can just do your swipes again, and it will accept your input again. And this can be set to any time that you like. The default is 3 seconds. As we come down, topic pairing selection order. Now, by default, the item that's all the way at the top of the list is music. That means that when you go to your transmission screen or your thumper screen, the topic that you will ask your spectator to go to is music. But maybe you don't want to perform with music as a topic of your choice. Here, you can choose the order of which topic you'd like to perform with. So let's say I prefer performing with the actors topic. So now if I hit the little up arrow next to it, notice how it moved actors all the way to the top of the list. Or I like to move another item right below actors. I usually like to perform once in a while with countries. So now I'm going to move countries right below that. So here's what that means. By default, you've told ReaList that you would prefer to perform with the actors category. But there's a very slight chance that when you activate the transmission screen, another magician in the world at exactly the same time is performing with that actor's topic. Therefore, the actor's topic is not available to you. Now, ReaList is going to simply go down the list to the second item that you have on the list, and it will then present that to you as the topic for pairing. Now, don't worry, even if you were to get the topic that you're not necessarily interested in performing, let's say countries, all you would do is just tell your spectator, yeah, go ahead and select countries. And the moment that your spectator selects countries, they are now paired with you. From that point on, you could say, this shows you all the trending countries that are in the world, but let's not actually perform with that. Let's scroll all the way down and select the actors topic. So all you've done is you've used countries as the method of pairing with your spectator, even though right after that, you could ask them to go to any topic that you're interested in performing with. And that's basically the topic pairing selection order. As we continue to scroll down, now, when it comes to update source, don't really worry about that. This is more for our internal testing or for beta testers. And that is all the different settings. As we continue to look down the page in ReaList, you'll notice that we've already done clicking on the google.stats.com, which simply copies your current ReaList URL to the clipboard, which means that later on you can just paste that into any browser and proceed with your performance. The thumper button we've already looked at, which just simply switches to your transmission page where you can transmit any number from 1 to 100. Then current pin is the feedback to what your current pin is right now, and underneath it, it says when that pin will expire. And right next to it, there's a refresh button. So let's say you read your current pin and you don't like it, or you want to make sure that you're going to reset your timer to a new pin for 24 hours. All you got to do is just click on refresh, and the ReaList servers will give you a brand new number. So in this case, now I changed my number to 51, and it says I've got another 23 hours and 59 minutes to use that current pin. So that's what the function of the refresh button is. Coming down the page, each one of these represents one of the topics that are available to you in ReaList. There are 12 default topics, and of course, each topic has its own default force items and force numbers. Later on, we're going to teach you exactly how you're going to either add or edit these lists, but for right now, that's all they are. This is just a list that shows you all your lists. You can have as many as you like. And then finally, the add button here at the upper right. When we click add, it's going to take us to a page that allows us to either add a new list based on a template of the existing 12 lists, or you can start a brand new list from scratch, or you can even paste the list from the clipboard. Now, this is a wonderful feature that will allow you to share presets or lists from one user to another. So if you have another friend who uses ReaList and they've created a list that they enjoy using that they want to share with you, you would just simply copy it from an email or from a social media post, and you would simply use this paste list feature to paste that list into ReaList. And that's it. Those are all the basic features of the main ReaList page.
What I want you to do is, if you scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, there's a link there to Google. It just says probably it says stats by Google or something like that. So if you click on that link, it's going to take you to Google. And once you're there at Google, in the Google search field, I want you to do a search for anything that you want. It doesn't matter. Maybe something that actually has what I really want you to do is to do a search for something that is a favorite childhood memory of yours.
Oh man.
Yeah, you take a little bit of time, think about it. Now, sometimes people think about travel when they were kids, or they think about a favorite toy, or it could be, a family acquaintance. It could be literally anybody or anything that's a very powerful childhood memory of yours.
Okay, do I just put it on there?
Yeah, just do a Google search for it. Mainly because when you do a Google search, in a moment we're going to do an image search, which means that it's going to show you all these images that are just simply from your memory. And that's very important.
Okay. All right, I clicked it.
Okay. So, is it already, is it already showing you the Google search? Do you mind?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, do you mind actually clicking on the images in Google? So it's going to show you some images now of just whatever you searched for.
Okay.
Okay. So now, as you're scrolling down these images, I don't want you to click on an image. I don't want you to touch it or even pause on it. All I want you to do is just simply remember an image as it's going by. Could you please do that for me?
Okay. Just go all the way down?
No, you don't have to go all the way down. Just as you're scrolling through all these images, just
Okay.
really think of any one of them.
Okay.
But don't stop on it. Don't pause on it. So you got this image that's in your mind, which is from your childhood memory, and I'm going to see if you and I share in that childhood memory, because the first feeling that I got from you is that this image that you're looking at is actually a photograph. Is that correct?
Yeah.
It's not a drawing. The other feeling that I'm getting from you is that this is a photograph that was taken at the daytime. It's not a nighttime photograph. It's daylight. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting a feeling that there are no people or there are no animals that are on this photograph.
I mean, I don't see.
You don't see any people or you don't see any animals in this photo, right? Puslan,
Yeah.
I want you to literally think of any color that's in that image. Okay, it doesn't even have to be even a primary color, just any color that you remember in that image, and really focus on that color for me.
Okay.
Okay. God, it's a very much like a earthy color. It's a kind of orangish or brownish. Is that correct?
Yeah.
It is. Okay. Now, keep thinking about this image that's in your mind's eye right now, because the feeling and the memory that you and I share in common is that our favorite memory of our childhood is when we went someplace. And the bigger the place is, the more has an impact on children. And so my favorite memory from my childhood is when I went to the Grand Canyon. Wait a minute. What? Are you and I sharing in this memory?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Here's how you will link ReaList with Inject from Rostami Magic. So starting from the upper left-hand corner, touch the hamburger button and go to your settings. As you scroll down, you'll notice that there are a series of settings that are related to the link that appears at the bottom of the Google Stats page. Now, the settings that I'm about to share with you right now is what I recommend, but you're welcome to change it to be anything you want. So for link text, I recommend the text that says simply stats by google.com. You're welcome to replace that with google.com or pictures by google.com or anything else you like, just anything that is going to reference the popular search engine. Then under link URL, you must now type the entire URL for your Inject. So this is the format. It is https://. It's really important that you include that https://. Then google.cm/your inject number. So if you currently own Inject and you've already launched it, you are already given an Inject URL. So simply replace your Inject number with your number. Then under link image URL, this is going to be an image that's going to represent the popular search engine or anything else that you would like to have appear at the bottom of the ReaList page. And in this case, we have a logo here for you, which is https://googlestats.com/glogo.png. So as long as you put that URL exactly into the link image URL, you'll be all set with the famous search engine logo. And that's it. Once you've put in these three variables here under settings, your ReaList will now be linked with your Inject. So now you're just going to hit the back button and you're all set to go. So now if we were to switch back over to our ReaList page, which is number 51 now, and if we scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll notice there it is. We got the Google logo, we got the stats by google.com, and it's all ready to go. And the link between ReaList and Inject is complete. A list of all the top 100 animals in the world, right? Okay, you are going to give me any number between 1 and 100. Any number you want, doesn't matter.
Should I look at the animals first or no? Oh,
No, we're going to randomly select one, so just give me any number.
55.
55, okay, so perfect. As we scroll down, okay, I want you to scroll down until you get to the 55th animal that's on that list. Keep scrolling and scrolling. There's 100 different animals.
Okay.
Did you get to the 55th animal?
I did.
You did? Okay. So what is the animal that's on item number
It's a
55?
chinchilla.
It's a chinchilla. Okay, that's interesting. What would it have been if you had chosen 54?
I don't know what that is. Barbar?
An aardvark. Okay, what would it have been if it was 56?
Reindeer.
A reindeer. Okay, so you can see that there's 100 different animals that are there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so remember, he chose out of 100 different animals, he chose chinchilla. By the way, how many times does it show there chinchilla hasn't been searched for?
558,000.
558K, right? Do you remember that bill that I wrote a prediction on?
Mm-hmm.
It's still in your hand, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Open up the bill. Chinchilla. What does it say on there?
Come on.
Chinchilla. But you know what?
Oh, and the cereal says 558.
The cereal. Did you notice that I underlined the 558?
Oh, wow. That's my bill. Wow. Nice.
Now we're going to look at how easy it is to edit any one of your lists. Now this can be used either just to change your lists to be something you like, or you can even use this as an effect to have a randomly selected number be an item that your spectator likes or had previously selected. So here's what I mean. First, starting off, let's say we want to edit the cities list. You just simply tap on it. And now, once the cities list opens, we can scroll down. And now, under force item, we want to change Rome so that it is Paris. But before I change that, please notice, as we continue to scroll down, Paris is already on the list on item number 2. So watch what happens as we change Rome to Paris. So here it is. We type that in. And just make sure you tap outside of that field for it to accept that input. And now watch what happens as we come down to item number 2. You notice here that what used to be Paris on the list has now been swapped out with Rome, which was the previous force item. Now, when you do this, please make sure that you spell the word correctly or that your spelling matches whatever are the items that are currently on the list. If you did not do that, then you might have duplicate items on the list later on when you perform. So now that's it. All we did is just changed Rome to Paris. And now we can just hit the back button. And as we look at our list, you will notice that next to cities, it now says Paris and 468. Now, how can you use this as a utility actually in your magic? One of the unique aspects of ReaList is that unlike other forcing utilities, you can change the force item on the fly. So let's say you ask your spectator before you even start your performance for what their favorite city is in the world. And they say that their favorite city in the world is Miami. So you don't make really a big deal out of it. Just say, oh, wow, that's interesting. I like Miami too. But then on an offbeat, all you're going to do is bring your phone out of your pocket, come into the list, and under the force item, just simply change that so it says Miami. All right. So now you go back and you are ready to perform, because now when you ask your spectator for any random number between 1 and 100, as they scroll down to their number, they'll notice that miraculously the number that they selected and the city that's at that number is their favorite city. So this can also be used for the actual force count. So if you were to borrow a bill from your spectator, just look at the last 3 digits or the 4 digits of the bill's serial number. So now, in this case, let's say the last 3 digits on the bill are 561. So all you would do is come under the force count. Now, notice how I kind of prepare this before I start that kind of a performance, where I delete out the characters and the digits that are already there. So now I put my phone in my pocket. The spectator brings the bill out. I see that the last 3 digits are 561. As I give the bill back to them, I just take my phone out of my pocket and I type in 561 and I hit the back button. So now that number has been programmed to be the force. So later on in your presentation, when you write your prediction on the spectator's bill, just make sure you underline the last 3 digits of the serial number of their bill. So then finally at the end, when they open up the bill, they'll notice that not only had you correctly predicted the city, which was going to be Miami, you also predicted the last 3 digits, which was the 561, which is just a straight crazy coincidence that happened on their bill. And that's how easy it is to edit your lists. Here's how you can share your presets with others, meaning that you can create a preset or a list and give it to your friends, or vice versa, take a preset from social media or from other ReaList users. So first, let's look at a way of actually retrieving lists from our Facebook group. So we're going to first transition to the Facebook page. And as we scroll down the list, there is a post over here with comic books. And if I was to open that up, you could see that it's my post where a comic book preset has been created. All you have to do right now is show the entire post, hold your finger down on that post, choose copy, and now let's switch back over to ReaList. And when you go under the Add menu, paste list from clipboard. When you select that, look what happens. It takes what you had just copied from Facebook and it creates a new comics list. And this list is complete. It's got all 100 comic book characters in it, along with the force item, the force number, and everything else. And so you're just ready to perform it, and you would now choose Save. Now, in this particular case, I would like to make my comics preset be hidden because I don't really think that comics would be a trending topic in Google. So therefore, I'm going to keep it hidden. But in the future, if I ever want to perform it, I'll just unhide it, and I will be ready to go, and it will show up under my trending list. So that's how you would actually paste a preset from someone. Now remember, this is just text, which means if your friend decides to email you a preset, you could. You would do the same thing. You would just simply copy the contents of that email into ReaList, and your friend's preset now suddenly is yours. Now, the same idea applies if you want to create a preset and share it with others. So go into whatever preset you have created, and you'll notice that in the lower right-hand corner, there is a copy button. So when you click on copy, it will feedback details successfully copied from this list. So now we're going to switch over to just an email. So I'll go over to my iPhone email. We're going to compose an email, let's say to myself, and I'll call this here comics list. So now over here, as I hold my finger down, I'm just going to select paste, and that's it. My list or my preset has now been pasted onto an email, and I can now easily share this with others by just emailing it to them. And that's how easy it is to copy and paste and share presets with friends. Now we're going to look at how to create a brand new preset in ReaList. So to start, click the Add button in the upper right-hand corner, and then the first item, add a new custom list. Now, starting from the top where it says list name, for this particular example, we're going to go with insects. Now, you notice that immediately after you type something in, ReaList will find an icon based on what you have typed from Wikimedia or Wikipedia. And you notice that immediately an image appears here in the upper right-hand corner. Now, if you don't like the image that it fetched from Wikipedia for you, you can then, where it says under list icon topic, you can change this to be something else. So let's say, for example, we would like the icon to be a butterfly. So all we would have to do is now type in butterfly. And now you'll notice that instead of the insects icon that we had a moment ago, it's now been replaced with a butterfly. Also, please remember that where it says list icon topic, you can actually put in a URL for your own custom image. And we're going to see the use of these URLs a little later on. So first, all we have is the insects category. Hidden topic means that you're welcome to create as many topics as you like, and you can either have these topics visible on your Google Stats page, or you can hide them by simply turning on hidden topics. As we continue to scroll down the page, force item is of course where you're going to be forcing on your spectators. And in this particular example, I would like to force a fly. Force count, of course, is for the number of searches that we're going to force. And in this case, we'll put in 357K. As we continue to scroll down the page, we're going to learn about rolling lists and default item position a little later on. But then preamble. So this is the text that's going to appear that essentially explains what this topic is all about. And I'm just going to quickly write some text over here. I really love insects. Okay, right. So that's going to be our preamble text. Feel free to find some text in Wikipedia or anywhere else where the text would be relevant to the topic that you have. So now we continue to scroll down, and here are now all of the different list items. Now for this example, we're going to create only 10 list items, and here we go. So the first item, we're going to do an ant, okay? Notice how immediately it finds an icon for the word ant and displays it. We'll continue to go down. So for item number 2, let's do spider. Let's do cockroach. How about a tick? Wasp. Bee. Mosquito. Grasshopper. Locust. Finally, a beetle. All right, so that quickly we added in 10 insects to our list. Now, as I look at ant, item number 1, I really don't like the icon that was fetched from Wikimedia, so I would like to put in a different image for ant. So here's the way we're going to do that. Let's switch over to a browser, and in the search bar, I'm just going to do a search for ant. All right. So Under images, we can see there's a variety of different photos of ants that we can choose from. As I scroll down, I really like this one right here, so let me go ahead and select that. And now, if you hold your finger down on an image, you'll notice that one of the options that pops up allows you to copy the URL of that image. If you want to make sure that this is really the URL to an image, what I recommend is open a new tab and then just paste that URL into the address bar. And if you see a .jpg, which is for a JPEG or a GIF or any of the other standard image formats on the internet, you know you've got a link just to an image. And so now if I hit go, I should see just an image of an ant. So now as we switch back over to ReaList, I can now put the pipe character. The pipe character is simply a character that goes straight up and down. That's called the pipe character. And then right after it, we're going to paste in the text that we just copied. So take a look. Make sure that there's no space in between the pipe character and the URL. And there it is. Now we have replaced the default ant image with a very exact image that we wanted for that item on our list. Now the same applies for spider. As I look at spider, I really don't like the image of a spider that it has fetched from Wikipedia. So I'm gonna now do the same thing, but the only difference is instead of pasting in a URL, we're just gonna type in a very specific type of spider from Wikipedia. And in this case, we'll type in a daddy long legs. And look what happens. Now, instead of the spider image that we had before, now that has been replaced with daddy long legs. And now all the other items here that are on the list look great. So right after we've created all of this, we're going to click the Save button here in the upper left-hand corner. And now you'll notice that back on the ReaList page, we now have a new category here at the bottom that says Insects. At this time, my ReaList pin is 43. So let's switch over to a browser. Let's go to my ReaList page. Here we are. Now, as we scroll down, under the recently trending topics, you're going to notice that there's a brand new topic, a 13th topic at the bottom of the list that says insects. So now if you select insects, you'll notice that as we scroll down, first we have our preamble that says, I really love insects. And then here it is, the ant and the spider and the cockroach. Notice that only the first part of what we typed in our settings is showing. After the pipe character is hidden. So this way, you have a very clean display here on the list. Here they are, from 1 through 10. Now, this also demonstrates how you don't necessarily have to have 100 items on each list in ReaList. You can have anywhere from 1 to 100 items. It's totally up to you. So now, let's go ahead and take our first item, which is the fly, and put it on item number 3. So here we go. Here's the 0, and here's the 3. And as we look, there it is. There's fly. And if you remember, it has 357K, and that's why that appeared as well. And this is how you create custom lists in ReaList. So now you're probably wondering what that rolling list feature is all about. So let's take a look at that. As we go back to ReaList, we're going to go back to our insects topic. Notice that just by clicking on a topic, I can now edit that topic. The first item that we're going to look at is simply hidden topic, which means that when I turn that on and when I go back, you'll notice that that item on the list is still there, but it says here that this is hidden. So let's go back to our ReaList page, and we're going to go back to the first page, and we'll refresh the page as well. So now you'll notice that as we scroll down the page, there are now only 12 topics, the default topics that we had started with. But here's a powerful feature to keep in mind. Even though a topic is hidden, you can still search for a topic here in the search field. So if I type in now the word insects, guess what happens? There it is. It immediately goes to our insects list that we had just created. Now, this is wonderful for topics that normally would not be relevant to a trending topic in Google. But it would make sense that Google would still have those categories in its database somewhere. So this way, you get the best of both worlds. You get a chance to customize a list. You don't always necessarily have to display that topic under the recently trending topics. And then finally, let's look at what the rolling list is all about. All right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to unhide our insects topic, and then we're going to turn on a rolling list. Notice that now what it says under rolling list is move the whole list when forcing, which means that whatever is the force item, in this case fly, is going to completely roll the list to the location that you're going to force. And also, we're going to take the default position for the fly and we're going to put it on item number 2. Okay? So once we put that in, we hit back, we're all set. Our topic now is no longer hidden, and let's take a look at what a rolling list is all about. Here's our list, and you'll notice that unlike the last time, our force item is actually on the list. And because we had specified the default position to be 2, it's simply placed on item number 2. So now, notice that 1 is ant, 2 is fly, and 3 is cockroach. Watch what happens as I force number 7. So here we go. Here's the 0. Here's the 7. And look what just happened. You'll notice that now it has rolled the list, which means what used to be item number 1, which was the ant, now has moved to 6. The fly is now on 7, which is where we wanted to force the item, and cockroach has now come below it. The list has rolled so that your force item is now in the current position. And that is how you create your own custom lists in ReaList. Here are the closing thoughts for ReaList. To start, if you notice the current pin, which is currently 30, and if you were to go back to the home screen on iOS, you'll notice that the badge number here shows 30 as well. By the way, if you don't like the 30 to be displayed on the badge number, you can always go to your settings and under notifications for ReaList, simply turn off the badge and that number will not be displayed. This number is a great way of being reminded what your current pin is without having to launch the app. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to join the ReaList Facebook group. Currently, the group has over 1,200 members that would love to teach you some of the new tips and tricks and ideas that you can do with ReaList. The Google Stats website works on both mobile browsers and desktop browsers. So if you're performing virtually across Zoom or any other video platform, your spectators can be on a desktop browser. If you want to see what your spectators will see on their device, open an incognito or a private browser tab on your phone. This better represents what your spectators will experience on their phones. The stats that are displayed on the first page of ReaList are completely real, and they change based on your language and your country, which adds to the realism of the information that's shown on this Google Stats page. The Stats website will automatically determine the language to display based on the language settings of your browser. Now, if you want to perform with a particular language, all you have to do is tap the globe icon in the upper right-hand corner, choose your language. So let's say, for example, we choose French, and you'll notice that not only is the text in French, but if we scroll down to the bottom of the page, even the recently trending topics, all of those are in French as well. Then, once you transition into your presets, then all of your settings will apply. So, please be sure to change any of the items that you want to force or even the preamble text so that it matches your language, because currently none of those items have been translated to all of the supported languages in ReaList. If you haven't done so already, if you tap the exclamation button at the upper right, it displays a fake send feedback page. This page does nothing. It's just meant to add to the realism of the stats website. The enter a search term or a topic can be used to go to any one of your topics. So for example, if I was to type in the topic of people, you'll notice that immediately the Google Stats page will display the people topic. Also, you can use the enter a search term or topic to search for any one of your hidden topics. So for example, in my account, the comics topic has been hidden, but if I was to do a search for it, you'll notice that there it is, the comics topic, and all of our comic book characters immediately show up. So this is a great way of performing with topics that normally would not be considered a trending topic with Google. One of the most important things to keep in mind about the Google Stats website is that it's a very organic place for your spectators to find a list. Otherwise, it really wouldn't make sense for your spectators to find a list anywhere else. It just makes sense that the internet would have a lot of lists of things with different topics. So take advantage of the ubiquity of lists online that are organic and everyday. When it comes to the persistence of the numbers that you have forced, remember that whatever you force on one page is persistent across all the other pages. So first, let's go ahead and force King Kong on item number 35. So here's our diagonal swipe. Here is the 3. Here is the 5. I can see the 35 here. And of course, if we were to scroll to item number 35, there's King Kong. But now, let's say we switch over to another topic. So let's say we go to animals, where we know chinchilla is the force animal. So if we were to scroll down to item number 35, we're going to find that chinchilla is, of course, here on item number 35. Now, this is important in circumstances where you want to ask your spectator for a number even before you have them navigate to the topic that you want to force. So this way, you never have to worry about your spectator maybe just like peeking at the list and peeking at a number prior to them naming a number. Here is a handy memory trick for remembering how to memorize all of the search numbers for each one of these topics. So let's say, for example, we're looking at the video games category where Tetris is the force item. Notice that 680 is the force number. Well, that's because the word Tetris is a 6-letter word. And the other digits that are on that number are simply 2 plus the previous digit. So 6 plus 2 is 8, and 8 plus 2 is 10, and that's why it's 680. You'll notice actually for all of the topics that we have here. For example, if we were to look at the word Pablo Picasso, Pablo is a 5-letter word, and hence the reason why the force number is 579. So the next time you're performing ReaList and you wanted to remember what the force number is, keep this little memory trick in mind. This way you'll never forget. Now, since the ReaList page is on the spectator's phone, your spectator can actually do whatever they want with the web page. So let's say, for example, you force chinchilla on item number 35, and you're going to notice that, of course, it appears on that number. But after you walk away, what would happen if your spectator was to refresh the page? Well, guess what? The page remembers whatever your spectator had selected the last time. So even though your spectator did just refresh the page, still item number 35 is chinchilla. Now, in case your spectator does move to a different device, a different phone, or a friend comes up and they say that maybe perhaps 35 is something different on their list, and if they were to confront you about it, just say that it says right here at the bottom, the results on the web page are updated every minute. And that's why results updated every minute is in the lower left-hand corner of the page. If you decide to perform ReaList with the settings on the thumper with the black screen, here's how that works. First, you turn on the thumper with the black screen, and now we're going to go to the thumper. Here's the thumper. Notice that in the beginning, it actually shows you your pairing topic and it even shows you everything else. But then a few seconds later, the screen goes black. So this is where you can have your phone out in play, let's say on a table or even in your hand, and you can very openly do your input without having to necessarily put your phone in your pocket. If you want to exit your black screen, all you want to do is tap the location where the back button would be in the upper left-hand corner. So if I tap this location right here, you'll notice that it's going to just take us back to our original page. And that's how you exit from the black screen. If you want to do a super fast performance of ReaList for your friends on your phone, all you have to do is just have the page already open on your phone. So that way, you just walk up to them, the page is already open, you do your force and you proceed. You don't have to launch an app. As a matter of fact, your spectators can examine your phone both before and afterwards because all you have is just a web page. There are no apps running. If you decide to perform ReaList over a Zoom show or a virtual show, and you want to pair it with Inject, and there are a lot of people watching at the same time, here's what I recommend. In the settings of ReaList, where you pair Inject and ReaList together, right after your URL, in this case, let's say your URL is ending with 1234, just put a :999. This is very important, and this will allow multiple spectators to do a Google search at the same time, and in Inject, you'll actually see all of their searches at the same time. Also, when it comes to performing ReaList with the Inject pairing included, I highly recommend that after your performance, you jump back into Inject and you turn off your account. That way, when your spectators, when you walk away from them, go back and examine that link, they'll notice nothing more than just a link that goes to google.com. Here's where we get to have some fun and be creative with ReaList. To start off with, please keep in mind that one of the most powerful aspects of ReaList is how you can instantly change whatever item you want to force. So let's say, for example, you're in an environment where behind your spectator, there is a Coca-Cola logo. So take advantage of that opportunity, open up your ReaList prior to your performance, jump into brands, and under the force item, change it from the default Porsche to Coca-Cola. There it is. Coca-Cola now is going to be your new force item. And so then when you perform for your spectator, have them choose any number between 1 and 100. And once it's time to reveal their selection, all you got to do is just ask them to turn around. And there's the Coke symbol right behind them. There's a lot you can do to be creative about how you reveal your forced item. There are a lot of fun sponge props that compress into really small spaces that you might be able to hold in your hand. From hamburgers to donuts to there's a variety of them that you can bring out. And when your spectator freely selects an item, let's say a food item, then you open up your hand and suddenly a complete hamburger pops open. So this is really fun to your spectators, and it seems even more impossible because they know they could have selected from any food item. One of my favorite ways of performing ReaList is forcing Superman under the comics category. So find yourself a Superman t-shirt, wear it under a snap buttons shirt, and then when you force Superman, you can do the iconic shirt tear to show them that you've been wearing the Superman shirt all along. This gets a laugh and it gets great reactions. As we've already seen, you can use ReaList to demonstrate superhuman memory, not only for your spectators, but also for you. So, as we go back to the ReaList website, ask your spectator to essentially name any one of the topics and to name a number between 1 and 100. So, The moment that your spectator names a topic and a number, you're going to tell them what is at that number, not only the item, but even the number of times it has been searched. So let's say, for example, your spectator says they're interested in the video games category, and you instantly say that at their number that they wanted, which is, let's say, item number 23, there is going to be Tetris, and it's going to have a search of 680K. So when they come down to item number 23, they'll notice that not only are you correct, there's Tetris there, but it's been searched for 680,000 times, proving that you have superhuman memory. Throughout the history of magic, music has been shown to be a very powerful performance tool. So, using the music category, first borrow a spectator's phone and go to YouTube and just find the Stayin' Alive song. Now remember, it doesn't necessarily have to be Stayin' Alive. You can change your force song to be whatever you like. Just make sure on your spectator's phone that you bring the volume all the way down and you start playing the song or the video. Then have your spectator freely select a song from the trending list for songs, and when they go to your force song, all you have to do is crank up the volume on that borrowed spectator's phone, and the reveal is music.
You can tell by the way I use my walk, I'm a woman's man, no time to talk.
Since the ReaList website displays the words result updated every minute, and the theme of the website is things that are just simply trending, it implies that all this information is constantly changing. So instead of using ReaList as a way of making predictions, use it as a way for mind reading. So ask your spectator to choose any one of the topics. Let's say they choose household, and tell them to give you any number between 1 and 100. So let's say they say their number is 37. So here we go. We're going to scroll down to item number 37. And as you do, actually give the phone to them so that they're going to look and see what that item is on item number 37. You already know that dictionary is the fourth item there, but you pretend like this information constantly changes. Ask them to really focus their attention on the item that's on item number 37 and to really think about it, and you read their mind. And then not only will you tell them that dictionary is what they're thinking of, you'll even ask them to look at the number that's below it, and you'll tell them that they're thinking of the number 246. So now ReaList is no longer a prediction tool, you're using it as a mind reading tool. When it comes to the actors preset, my favorite way of revealing Tom Hanks is with this open prediction. I call this old man has a nice, kind smile. So all you have to do is either text message or write on a piece of paper, or even use the notepad on your spectator's phone to write that sentence. This old man has a nice, kind smile. So now ask your spectator to name any number between 1 and 100. So let's say the spectator says number 59. So now as we scroll down to item number 59, you and I already know that what we're going to find there is going to be Tom Hanks. So now you say to your spectator, well, wouldn't you agree that Tom Hanks has a nice, kind smile? So my prediction was correct. And then they're going to give you this really strange look, as if they're really not impressed by that. But then you say to your spectator, you know what? I know you're not really impressed by this, but my prediction actually is completely correct. Because if you look at that sentence long enough, you'll notice that it actually does say Tom Hanks. And believe it or not, after just a few seconds of your spectators examining the sentence, they will discover that it says Tom Hanks because the first letter of each word spells Tom Hanks. You're going to love performing that one. Now, as far as I know, ReaList is the only magic effect in the world that you can perform over a phone conversation. So take advantage of that and learn some of the different ways of performing over the phone. And as you've already seen from this training video, the superhuman memory effect, and also even this Tom Hanks reveal that I just taught you are a great way of performing this over the phone. Because the ReaList website can be visited by all of your spectators at the same time, take advantage of that. So if you are performing for a group of people, or if you're performing, let's say, over a video chat, have all of your spectators go to googlestats.com and have all of them go to your pairing topic. This is really important because this is magic that happens in the hands of your spectators. And the fact that the same exact item is on everyone's phone reconfirms the fact that this is just a Google website that displays statistics. If you're afraid of your spectators thinking that the method might be voice recognition, I highly recommend you have your spectators write the number down. So as you can see from this little video clip, the reveal is actually folded. So your spectator just writes on the left-hand side of the paper, and then when it comes time for you to reveal, they unfold the paper to see that you had perfectly predicted the outcome. When it comes to the versatility of ReaList, your imagination really is the limit. And I urge you to think about ReaList in creative ways, and especially if you join the ReaList Facebook group, you'll see over 1,400 users sharing their tips and tricks and how they take their ReaList to the next level.